Everyone we see is a reflection of us. I want to take it a step further into the mind, a bit more deeper way of thinking. I think when you sit down and you look at everything, you can understand why it doesn't make any sense. Have you ever looked at a word? Let's take the word home, H-O-M-E. Have you ever looked at that word, or any other word, long enough when you start to question, is that how it is written? And that's because generally I think we should always question. It's not your first language, or you sort of break into a new realm of possibilities. You break free of the illusion of the spell that you are placed upon when you see those things. Something as simple as a 3-letter word like eat or ate, or tit or tat, dog or cat. When you stare at them long enough, do they make sense or do they change? Is it? What actually creates that? Where does it begin? Well, I think it's yourself, your inner self, trying to break free from said entrapment of the mind, created illusions from the masters. Well, you ever wonder, why do they do it? Why is it so? I can't fathom the idea of keeping people trapped or enslaved in a mental prison or a society-based prison, and why can they not just be all about unity and creation and spiritual growth and enlightenment so that we can catch up to the rest of the universe, or we can see and expand our minds, learn new things? I think being human is a fascinating thing. It's a wonderful marvel, but not when you're in pain, or not when you're suffering from corporate dictatorship, or people who just want to rule over you, false gods in money, television, religions. Why? How can you sit down and do that? Ask yourself the question, how can they sit down at night knowing that they are doing this to millions of people, to millions of beings and star beings? Is it all a game, a joke? Do you feel that way? Do you think it is? Do they see you any different? But why? Why is that existence of hatred and harmfulness and utter disrespect and disliking for another, why does that exist? Is it the type of race that they are? And I don't mean by color, I mean by DNA. I think when you sit down and question not the fabric of time or the existence of reality, but the notion of living and witnessing what it is that you're currently going through, They must be some evil, scornful, hurting people on the inside. There's no other way to think about it. They're either blindsided to the slaughter, or they've just been brought up that way. Or maybe they are a part of the problem and they love it. But why? We all have a dream, we all have a desire, an end goal, an end game. A place we want to be, a society, a heaven you want to live in. Ambitions and goals to see the fruits of your labor. It doesn't matter, we all have that. So, what is theirs? You have these people in power, these narcissists, these psychopaths and dictators in power, but what are they looking forward to achieving? Do you see? Can you feel it? Can you see it? Can you witness it? Can you understand that they don't have an end goal? They might have things they're looking to do, or prevent, or stop. But what is their end goal? Total enslavement of humanity? Where they are not capable of understanding or learning from themselves, from ancient teachings and wisdom. They are robotics, slaves to the system. Part human, part zombie. See, I think the zombie movies were correct, except that they were not contagious zombies that mutated your skin, but no. Isn't it funny how the mutated virus is what causes the zombies? Have we not been paying attention to what they're showing us in TV shows? It's just we get caught up in sci-fi scenarios, we treat it as that, it is a game or a movie. The people will be zombified where they are just indoctrinated to what the system tells them to do, or what it allows them to do. You may be awake, but if you're in that system, you're stuck. Unless you're trying to help and heal it. But why do they do it? Power? Greed? Is it their kink? Do they get a kick out of it? Is it a way of pushing people to the brinks or the limits of what they can withstand so that they are forced to make a change for a positive? It's all plausible, it's hypothetical. But when you place your thoughts and your mind's eye towards who these people are, what these people are, you realize if you understand what a human is capable of doing and feeling the emotions of grief and empathy and sadness and sympathy, caring and love, all wrapped up in a white light, or a gold light, or an amethyst, it doesn't matter the color. Now place your thought upon them and the creations that they are trying to keep humans or humanity enslaved in. And ask yourself, is that human? Could a human possibly create that or do that? If we are humans and we have the utmost profound ability to create emotions and senses and feelings, then these people are void of any. It's an interesting to fathom. A thought, that is. But Ultimately, it does come down to a few things. Being mindful that they have the capabilities of doing so, and making decisions based on love and compassion. When you understand that anything is possible, that we are under this dome of illusion, do you ever look at something and swear it flickered for a second? But it's just your eyesight. There are many things I think that we are all able to break free of. It's kind of like an energy frequency that is keeping you locked at a certain wavelength. And sometimes, every now and then, there's a little jolt in the wavelength that makes you bump out of synchronicity for a little bit in a good direction to a new waveform. So you see these things and then it comes back in, or they quickly bring you back into alignment to a 3D mentality. It could be that the world does evolve around you. What if that statement where people say the world does not evolve around you, what if it does? What if all of the things that were designed or created to keep us humble are actually things that make sense? If we are indeed all one consciousness, then indeed we are all living creatures of the Source God. Therefore, we are all creator gods. We have the ability to manifest and create things. Think about it. Have you ever had those thoughts or those emotions where you've thought or said something and it's come true? How much energy did you place upon it, or heart, or love, or compassion, or power? It can be chi, it can be anything. And you create it. You see, we're told to believe in coincidence, even synchronicity. But magic is a myth. So why do they do it? Why do they keep you locked? We know before we come here what it's going to be like. So what is that world like? Is that why they're keeping you locked here, so we can't evolve to that state of Shangri-La or any of the fabled so-called places of heaven or humanity, thriving with forest and fruits and vegetables, growing with architecture and brilliance, magic and stories telling our kids? It is exactly like the story times. If you can stand back, picture yourselves in their shoes, picture the narrative itself, picture the story like we're in a book. How many movies out there, doesn't have to be a book, but people get sucked into a game, or they get sucked into a book, or they come out of a book. There are many, even genies to an extent, come out of lamps. Your brain is a battery. We know this. It stores information. It accesses information. It is a gateway. And if you've made a brain believe in something for so long that it is true, then that is what it believes. So you are on that synthwave timeline. You're on the sine wave with ups and downs and ebbs and flows. But when you can picture their narrative, when you can picture their storyline, it isn't a singular based storyline, it is the storyline. You can start to see things coming through. Could be someone telling a story around a class of children or adults. Anything could come through. If it does, take note. It could be of things you've already seen. Maybe your brain takes you to memories because you're asking it to view the narrative. You can see the narrative unfolding in politics. You can see it in your mind's eye. Are you creating it, or are you acknowledging the existence of it? What timeline or story or narrative can you shift the perspective of being a negative and placing that into a positive, an outcome that is foreseeable? We witness many things. We place attention on it when it makes us angry, because when we're angry we resonate and the energy is high and we can create things out of anger. You think manifestation is a creation based upon energy of pure love and creation and light. And it's heart. It is that intent, that pure, not desire, but that pure heartfelt emotion. It's hard to put a word on it, but that's what it is. And you can also do the same by rage or anger or fear, because they generate the same amount of power, just on the opposite side. It's that they have trained your mind to believe that the dark or the night or the negative is evil and sadistic. But a battery does not work without the positive and the negative. You can't have one side only. So you see, in some situations, the negative is also the earth. It is your grounding. It's what keeps you stable. And the positive affirmations is what keeps us moving forward. So now you start to see why they do it. Why they want to keep you locked, because when you feel that you're on that different timeline or that different wavelength, one of you witness it, you see it, you change it, it's powerful, it's exciting, it's exhilarating to find out that's where we should be. Because then you follow that, you radiate that where you go, and people feel that and they want to be a part of it. You can change people who are willing. They may not know something, and by your presence it comes into their life. Some of us are here to guide people through. So what is their end goal? Why do they do it? Well, a lot of things generally come down to greed or power or status, if you will. It's just that for centuries now, generation of families and people have grown up to only believe one way, that this is the case. It only took probably 100 years, a couple of generations between people to make it work. So you see, they want to continue that. They don't have an end goal. They're happy with what they're doing with their agenda. And when people become enlightened, they become a threat. They start waking up, breaking free from their agenda. They cannot stop that. They can only place obstacles in your path. But when people start seeing the new, when they see the light, when they hear the words that you say, those types of people just don't make sense anymore. And then they don't deserve our energy. If you see, you are leaving it behind. You are not witnessing it. You are not paying attention to it. You are not being drawn into its field of manifestations of a negative mind or manipulation of the system. And you overcome it. You place yourself bigger than it is. And it does not have control over you. The master and the apprentice scenario. Well, now you are an ascended master. And that narrative does not comply to your path. But you know its existence and the people within it who are holding an old way of power over people and struggle. And it doesn't matter why they want to do it, for whatever reasons. Because you understand it, you overstand it, you understand it. However you want to look at it, it just makes sense. And with that, peace and love and light. Take care.